Hi, my name is Oskar Bruno and I'm the Distillery Manager of Agitator and Whisky Maker in Sweden. Lots of the things we do here is really unique for our production, so I'll give you a quick tour of the different techniques we use for both distilling, fermentation and even mashing. This is our control room. From this room the operator works with all the different parts of whiskey production. So everything from mashing, fermentation, distillation and even adjusting the ABV of the final spirit is controlled from these working stations. So we have one over here and a second one over here. So two operators can work in this room at once, doing different things simultaneously. And also if you look outside the windows here, you can see that we have 4 copper pot stills. These are from Italy, from a company called Friuli, and they produce really high-end, good distilling equipment. Lots of good tech inside of that company. We also have our mill. This is from a company called GEA or GEA. They produce high-end brewing equipment, and this is a wet mill that we're really proud of to be using. And also on the left-hand side you can see the 6 stainless steel fermenters that we have. So this is our mill, and this is a wet mill. And the benefit of using a wet mill is that we add water straight into the mill as we grind our grains. And this is actually more safe than a regular mill because all the hazards with dust explosions is removed. And we also start the mashing process a bit earlier because as soon as we add water to the crushed grains, the conversion process activates. We kind of remove one of the steps of just keeping crushed grains inside a bin. So the amount of time we need to spend up in the lauter tun is far less. This is our mash tun, and inside this tun we convert the starch from the grains into simpler sugars that we can ferment. And this is also delivered from this German company called GEA or GEA. And this mash tun is really efficient on producing high gravity worts. So we're able to produce around 18-19 degrees of Plato inside this tank. So we brew to a higher gravity than we normally would. And this helps us saving a lot of energy and also creates a fruity flavor profile for our final whiskey. So both the mill and this lauter tun is really unique, and we have lots of techniques that we've used to produce the best possible wort that we can. So the goal with combining these two systems is to extract the most starches and flavors from our raw material. Here you can see our 6 fermentation tanks, and inside here is where the magic happens. So after we produced our wort up in the lauter tun, then it's transferred into one of those 6 stainless steel fermenters. And inside these fermenters, we add some yeast and we let it ferment for at least 7 days. And during these 7 days, we produce both CO2 and ethanol. And our target is to hit around 10 to 11% of ethanol. The yeast also develops a lot of esters, which gives our spirit a fruitier flavor. So we tend to use different yeast strains that accentuate different fruitier styles that we want in our spirit. For example, I've used Saison yeast, Trappist yeast, different ale yeast, and even wine yeast to experiment with different flavors. So the yeast is really important for the whiskey production, and we like to ferment for a longer period of time, and we like the yeast to develop the flavors that we need for our final product. Once we have fermented our wash and we reach around 10-11% of alcohol, it's time to distill it. So one fermenter is split between these 2 wash stills. And what we do is we fill these 2 up and we start distilling. As you can see, the shapes of the stills are quite different. The left one is quite tall, whereas the right one is shorter and a bit wider neck. So in these 2 stills we create 2 different flavor profiles of the final whiskey. So the left one still will give us a lighter, fruitier style of whiskey. The right hand still will give us a heavier style. And during distillation, the final product from these two stills will be around 30% of alcohol. So it's quite weak. We need to re-distill it. And that's the reason why we have a second pair of still over here. So in these two stills, we re-distill the product that we get from the first step here. Low wines that we get from the tall still to the left is transferred to this tall still, and the low wines from this wider still is transferred to the wider still over here. And what we do is we re-distill this product and we start to collect our final spirit in a separate tank. We tend to have a shorter, narrow cut on this still to keep the flavor profile quite clean. And on this still, we cut at a lower strength to accentuate the heavier style of spirit that we can get from this wider neck. We're trying to create a lighter flavor profile from the tall still and a heavier style from the low still. During distillation, we use vacuum. So we have a vacuum pump that reduces the pressure inside all of these stills. And by reducing the pressure, I reduce the boiling point of the liquid inside the stills. So these two stills, I reduce the boiling point by around 5 degrees centigrade. And in the second pair, I reduce it by 30 degrees centigrade. And this makes it quite energy efficient, because what I can do is I can use heat to distill in these two stills, and the residual heat coming off these two stills is used to make the second pair of this stills work. And also the mashing, the milling, and all the hot water I need for the mashing is produced from the residual heat from these two stills. So these two pumps, they reduce the pressure inside the still, and the way they do it is by sucking air out of this pipe, or what we call a vacuum header tube. And this tube is connected to this strange array of pipes and this regulator valve. And down here we have a subcooler, and this subcooler is always at 50% full. So we have a small air pocket above the liquid, and this allows air to be sucked out of the still through this small air pocket and through this regulator valve. So by using this regulator valve, this pressure transmitter over here and a pressure transmitter up there, we can monitor the pressure inside the still, and we can regulate it to whatever pressure we want for distillation. And this level sensor over here helps us keep 50% in this subcooler all the time. So this sensor communicates with a pump that's located down here. So the pressure inside our wash still is around 0.3 bars absolute, which is pretty much the equivalent of the summit of Mount Everest. The pressure inside our two spirit still is around 0.8 bars. And the good thing about using this vacuum system is that we reduce the amount of energy needed for the distillation to work. And also the flavor profile of the spirit is quite clean, because lots of the fossil oils and strange nasty congeners that you get from distilling is actually removed, so we get a sweeter or much smoother flavor profile from using this vacuum system. These are our final spirit tanks. So in these we keep spirit from the tall stills, spirit from the lower stills, and combining of both, or if you produce a specific new kind of product, for example gin or rum, we tend to use this third tank. And once we have the spirit inside these tanks, what we do is we add some water to it to dilute it down to around 55% of alcohol. So once we have 55% of alcohol inside these tanks, we roll in barrels on the floor, as you can see here, and we start filling them from this hose. And we fill these barrels until they are completely full. Then we add a bung to them, and then we roll it out to the warehouse and let them mature for at least 3 years. And behind this door is our first warehouse. So I'll give you a quick tour of it. We mature our whiskey in lots of different barrels. The most common one is an old bourbon barrel. We use a lot of new American oak barrels and also chestnut. And chestnut wood gives us deeper color and a bit fruitier style of taste. So we're trying to find new exciting flavors by combining different woods. We're trying to find new exciting barrels that contain like different wines. We have some cider barrels, and our most recent product, we matured our rye whiskey for 8 months in old maple syrup barrels, just to give it a bit more sweetness. Turned out to be a really good product. So we're trying to experiment with lots of different types of wood, and we want to find new exciting flavors, and we want to challenge ourselves in trying to create those. Because our belief is that the best whiskey haven't been produced yet, and we want to kind of have this quest to trying to find new exciting flavors and pave a new way for new whiskey producers around the world. So hopefully we can contribute with a new way of thinking and hopefully finding new exciting flavors for whiskey. So this is our blending room where we have lots of different samples from the different barrels that we have at our warehouse, and what we do in here is trying to create new exciting flavors for our next whiskey. We have a blended whiskey, 2 single malts. These will always be available, so we have to make sure that every blend that we do is consistent in quality. And apart from that, we try to experiment with new exciting flavors. For example, this bottle is our latest release, which is our maple syrup matured rye whiskey. Really good and unique product. But we also do our single malt. So we do a lot of different things here, but the main thing that we want to produce or emphasize is that the whiskey we do is unique, and we use new ways of distilling. We have a small proportion of chestnut wood inside this product, and we're trying to be quite creative when it comes to whiskey production. So hopefully these products will reach your market in the near future.